So this episode, I kind of want to just keep it lighthearted because I think the first 4 episodes were a little too much, a little too deep, and the topics were just a little much. So this time, I wanted to keep this episode very lighthearted, very easy, very just chill, and I think we'll probably stick to about 20 minutes. Have a little fun with this one. So, as you can see in the title, this is episode 5 of Mindset Mentors Bad Dating Advice on the Internet. First off, I want to preface by saying just be mindful of any advice on the internet, including this podcast, and anything that I tell you is just my opinion, my perspective. I am obviously not a therapist, a psychologist, and none of that. I am just a girl. And everything that I share here is my perspective from my experiences that I've gone through in my life. And by sharing my experiences, if that resonates with anyone, and if that is something that, you can learn something from and apply to your own life, that is great. But I just want to preface this episode by saying, that just like this podcast, every other piece of opinion that's out there in the form of advice is, end of the day, opinions. I believe that there is no right answers. I believe that there is no one way that will work for everyone. I believe that all of our experiences in life are just so different and so broad that you can't possibly have a set of rules that 100% are guaranteed to work for everyone. So just be mindful of that in general. And then specifically when it comes to dating advice on the internet, I would say be a little extra careful, because a lot of the time from the relationship dating advice on the internet, what I find people doing is projecting their experiences, their insecurities, their things that have happened to them, and project it onto all of the internet as assuming it is the gospel truth. But it's not. Just like there is that saying that goes, there is your side, there is my side, and then there's the truth. Unfortunately, we never really get to see the truth. And so just be mindful of the dating advice and relationship advice on the internet. I have for a while gone down the rabbit hole of just adopting several different dating advice from the internet, and it did not lead me the right way. And the reason also that I did that, I can look back and understand now, is because I didn't really have like a strong sense of self. So I was always looking externally to kind of validate my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts. I was always kind of looking externally for someone to tell me what the right thing to do is, while the whole time I had to kind of just go within and kind of figure out what that would be for me. And that's what I would suggest to everyone, really, if you're listening to this podcast, or if you can tell your friends, is to realize that all of our answers are within us. But there is a skill that we need to develop to dive into ourselves and pull out the answers from within us. And all these answers are going to be very unique to just us. So just be very mindful of that. But coming back to this episode, let's just dive right into it. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about 5 questionable dating advice that comes up periodically, especially, for the late millennials, even single people in general. I don't want to limit this to millennials, in general, for single people. These are the 5 things that I see come up repeatedly, and we're kind of just going to dissect them and see what we can get out of it, because there's a lot to question when it comes to this advice. So the first one that I keep hearing a lot is, if he wanted to, he would, or if she wanted to, she would. Since I'm a woman, I'm going to take the female perspective, and I'm going to stick with, looking at this from a female lens. So we're going to stick to, if he wanted to, he would. There have been a lot of times where I have wanted to do something, but I didn't. I know friends who have wanted to do something, either call the person, call the girl, call the guy, text them, whatever, but they didn't. And there's several reasons for that. For me personally, I wanted to, but I was scared. I wanted to, but I was shy. I wanted to, but I didn't want to get, my ego hurt. I wanted to, but I knew that maybe there was no future there, so I didn't. So there's several reasons. I understand why people say if he wanted to, he would. And the problem that I see with this phrase or this advice on the internet is not even completely wrong. I think that we just take this phrase and invert it into being something that is not as helpful to us. So, for example, if we took this, if he wanted to, he would, and leave it at that, there's no problem with that. But what we tend to do is we take that, if he wanted to, he would, but then go down this mental rabbit hole of, but why didn't he? Does this mean I'm not pretty enough? Does this mean I'm not worthy? Does it mean that he doesn't like me? Does it mean I'm this, I'm too that, I'm too much? So on and so forth, right? So the thing with this, if he wanted to, he would, is to basically have an understanding within yourself that people will do what they want to do. Okay? It does not necessarily mean it's a reflection of your self-worth. This is why I always say, like, if you are not fully whole and confident within yourself and know your worth, it's really hard to be out in the dating world. It took me a while to kind of get to this place for myself even, but it is a skill. It is a game that you have to play, and you can't go play the game if you feel like you are not worthy to begin with, because every little thing that someone else does, you will start to take that upon yourself as it is a reflection of you, and that's incredibly dangerous and incredibly damaging of your self-esteem, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. The second advice that I hear a lot, and this is kind of like going into like the spirituality side of it as well, which is focus on yourself, work on yourself, heal yourself, and it will come. This one really makes me so upset because somewhere within the healing process and somewhere within, this whole like go and find your shadow self and work on it is treated as something that you have to do in order to become worthy to then be in a loving relationship. And that is the complete opposite of why someone needs to heal in the first place. When you tell someone, focus on yourself and heal yourself and then it will come, you are sort of telling somebody who is already kind of in a very vulnerable place, who is already probably heartbroken, who is already kind of at rock bottom, and you're giving them this false hope or false promise that in order to get the love that they crave so badly, they have to heal themselves, when in reality they need to heal themselves to heal themselves. I'm so sick of always having to hear that love is this reward that you get after you go down this really hard path in life, after you go through something traumatic, and after you come out of it, almost sort of like it's a hero's journey, where at the end of the rainbow you'll find love. And I've seen so many people just be even more heartbroken because they completely take this healing process with the wrong intention that it's going to give them love. And, they're doing their affirmations, they're journaling, they're meditating, they're eating right, they're doing all these things, but the intent of why they're doing it is completely screwed up. So they keep doing all these things, and it leads them to burnout at some point because they're not doing it for themselves, because if they were doing it for themselves they wouldn't feel like they're healing, that would just eventually become a way of life. But they feel like they're doing all these things, and it's leading them to no results. So that must mean they're doing something wrong. That must mean that they're not worthy. That's why they're not receiving this love. And just stop, guys. Like, just stop telling people that they need to heal themselves and it will come. I am sick of it. People are sick of it after hearing it. People are like, in all different phases of life. And, there's nothing wrong with telling someone they need to heal themselves, but make sure that you are healing for you, to get yourself to a place where you are good. If the relationship comes, you are good even if the relationship doesn't come. That is the point of the healing process. The third questionable bad advice, dating advice on the internet that I see, is men know within the first few dates if they want to date you, if they just want to have fun with you, or if they want to wife you. I, to be very honest, don't have a lot of guy friends. I don't. But I will say that there might be some truth to this. It is possible that when a guy meets you for the first time, he is able to decipher what he wants out of this meeting with you or this few dates with you. He might. But what I don't like about this is that it puts complete onus on the women to look a certain way, to talk a certain way, to, have the perfect hair, have a great body, have their makeup done right, always speak a certain way, sit a certain way, basically essentially perform a certain way. So they quote unquote get chosen by this man. Although there might be truth, which I don't know because I don't have a lot of guy friends. If you're a guy and listening to this, like, DM me and let me know what your thoughts are on this. But I do think that men know within the first few minutes on the first date of what they want from a woman. Just like how I feel like as a woman, I also know within the first few minutes of a date if it's a hit or not, or if there's chemistry or not. I know. So I from that lens, I think men also do kind of know. But I don't like this being given out as advice because, like I said, it's a lot of pressure on women to always be perfect. So they finally get chosen by a man. While this whole time of trying to be perfect, they aren't focusing on if they even like the man, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is number 4 of bad, questionable dating advice on the internet. Love someone who loves you more than you love them. I'm gonna say it one more time. Love someone who loves you more than you love them. This is absolute BS, okay? I don't believe, and this is my personal opinion, that I don't believe that I am supposed to be with somebody who loves me more than I love them. There is a caveat to this, which is I think the way that you show love to each other could be different. I could excel in the ways that I show love, maybe by cooking or cleaning and things like that, which comes kind of naturally to me. Or over the years, I've developed the skill to come more naturally to me. So I could show love to someone in that way. Well, the way I want to receive love, maybe through quality time or affirmations or, whatever, that person is able to provide that to me. So I don't think, and love is such a complicated thing, right? I mean, there's the 5 love languages and the attachment styles and all of that. A lot of the times when the whole advice of love someone who loves you more than you love them. I think a lot of women are misunderstanding this, and a lot of women are feeling like they're supposed to settle with somebody that they are not attracted to. Personally, that would never be me. I would have to be physically attracted to the person for me to be with them or even talk to them. So it's really sad from what I'm seeing with this advice is women thinking that they're just supposed to be with someone who gives them more attention. And I feel like this is just a setup for disaster, because eventually over time life gets really, really hard, it gets really difficult. And if you're not if you're not attracted to the person, for example, or if you're not feeling, if you don't have that natural chemistry with the person, I just don't see how it would work. So the love someone who loves you more than you love them, I think can be rephrased to something like, love someone who understands how you need to be loved, and love someone who you can love in a way that they need to be loved. That's all I'm going to say with that one. And the last one, number 5, and this is, oh my goodness, if I have to hear this one more time, you guys, I don't even know. I'm going to completely lose my mind. And I'm sure a lot of single people out there feel this way as well. And that is the famous, it comes to you when you stop looking for it. It comes to you when you stop looking for it. I'm just going to take a moment of silence here. A lot of people around me in the last 3 or 4 years or so who are in happy relationships, who are engaged, who are dating, who are very content and believe that they have met their soulmates and the love of their lives, in just the last 4 years, the people that I know, we're all looking for it, okay? They were all looking for it. They were on dating apps. They were actively going on multiple dates. They were going out to mixers. They were putting themselves out there. They were shooting their shot in public, in bars and grocery stores. They were responding to DMs. If they saw someone that in their DM that was a potential, they were reaching out. They were keeping open lines of communication. So they were looking for it, okay? And I believe that I have been personally conditioned to believe this advice. Because growing up Indian, I grew up watching a whole lot of Bollywood movies and, South Indian movies, where this whole idea of love finding you is so romanticized and so glorified that you lose sense of reality and logic a lot of the times. So I, for the longest time, believed that the right person for me will just magically appear. The right person for me, or God's person for me, it will just happen. And I don't have to put any kind of effort into it. I don't have to put any kind of, work into it. And I'm not gonna lie. I did meet a few people through this way of just meeting them in public, and we were friends and we started dating, or I ran into people and we started dating, things like that. But the interesting thing is, the reason that those people didn't work out was because I was missing a very essential part of the process of finding the love of your life, which is not knowing what I wanted in a person. So when you leave it up to chance, and when you leave it up to the universe to bring the person into you, and don't put in any kind of effort to meet the universe or God halfway, you aren't going to be meeting the kind of people that are right for you, because you don't even know what's right for you, if that makes sense. when you leave it up to chance, yes, you will meet people, but those people aren't going to be right for you because you will start just looking at the people that are being presented to you and in your mind start making them right for you. I feel like as women, we do this a lot. We meet someone we're kind of attracted to, and we're like, okay, I'm going to give this person a chance. And you see, from a subconscious perspective, or even consciously sometimes, you're like, but I don't like this about this person, but I don't like that about that person. But you tend to entertain them longer because you are like, well, I don't know. Like, this is my chance that I've run into this person, that I have to make this happen. Like, this is the universe, this is God. But it's unfortunately, it's as hopeless of a romantic that I am, it's not always the truth. It's not always the truth, and we don't have to entertain people that don't align with us, and we don't have to justify their bad behavior to our, just to satisfy our needs, because it's never going to work out. It would never work out in the long term anyway, because eventually looks fade, the honeymoon phase fades, feelings fade, and then what you're left with is hopefully just your values. And if those values don't align because you just decided to leave it up to chance and make this person, marry them, have kids with them, make a family with them because that's what the universe gave you, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. It's not going to be beautiful. So I do believe, and I'm still unconditioning myself and still trying to be more open and selective with how I am out in the dating world by following more logic now than I was before. So I don't believe that it'll come to you when you stop looking for it. I believe that you have to look for it. And when I say look for it, I'm saying you have to know what you're looking for. So you have to have a set of non-negotiables, a set of values that you want that person to align, and not be so attached to the idea of making it be that one person that you really like match that list that you have, even though you know somewhere deep down that there's just something missing. So you have to know what you're looking for. So you have to look for it, but not be so attached to making it happen. And, if there is some hope for my younger self, or the inner child in me that believes in being hopeless romantic, like I'm sure a lot of you are also hopeless romantics, maybe, just maybe, there is a chance that you will run into somebody and it will be magical and it will feel like divine timing and it will be all of this. But even then, there will have to be some kind of work that you would have to put in to making that connection long lasting. So stay open-minded, stay open-hearted, give people a chance, but also stand up for yourself. Say no when you want to say no. Walk away when you see red flags. And just always believe in love. I will always believe in love, regardless if I, end up with somebody tomorrow, or end up with somebody 10 years from now, or never end up with somebody. I feel like love is beautiful and we're all deserving of love. That is episode 5 of Mindset Mentors, and this is Nikki K signing out. I will meet you next week with another episode. Until then, have a great week.